History forgot me. Death didn't. Not that it was a surprise visit, mind you. Death and we were practically neighbours growing up in Lyme Regis, bleak little seaside town. Famous now, of course. Tourists flock to walk where I walked. Don't you know it's Mary Anning country? But I bet you a shilling most of them couldn't pick me out of a lineup of Victorian washerwomen. Mary Anning. That's the name they gave me, though these days I'm more of a whisper than a person. A memory drifting along the cliffs and cobbled streets of Lyme Regis. That's me. Or was me. Hard to keep track when you're a ghost. Sometimes I feel like I'm stitched into the very fog that rolls in from the sea, watching the world change while I stay the same. Born in 1799, same year as that puffed-up poet, Byron. He wrote verses I dug in the dirt. Funny how two lives can start together and spiral in such different directions. He got to die young and tragic. I got struck by lightning as a baby. Literally. Didn't kill me. Just made me different. Touched by something, they said. Some folks whispered it was a sign, a spark from the heavens. Others just stared, wary, as if I might call down another storm. More like touched by poverty, if you ask me. We were dirt poor. Our cupboards were mostly empty, and our shoes wore out faster than we could patch them. Hunger was a constant companion, and hope was a rare visitor. Dad was a cabinet maker, but the sea took him before I turned 11. Left us with nothing but debt and a knack for finding curious rocks. My mother did her best, but the world wasn't kind to widows and their children. Curiosities, we called them. Sold them to fancy folk to put on their mantles. Each stone was a small hope, a chance to buy bread or coal for the fire. I learned to spot the difference between a worthless pebble and a treasure from another age. Turns out, some of those curiosities were a tad bit older than your average paperweight. Some were the bones of monsters that ruled the world long before any poet or pauper ever drew breath. And in those ancient stones, I found my own kind of poetry. 12 years old, I was. Just a slip of a girl with a battered bonnet and a pocket full of questions. The sea was always wild, the wind always cold, but I loved it. Loved the way the cliffs seemed to whisper secrets only I could hear. It was on one of those blustery mornings when I found her, the ichthyosaur, I mean. Not a soul around, just me and the gulls and the sound of my own heart thumping in my chest. There she was, a big old lizardfish thing, embedded right there in the cliffs, bones tangled in stone, waiting for someone to notice. She looked like a dragon had a love child with a dolphin, something out of a fever dream or a sailor's tale, but real as the salt on my lips. My discovery caused quite a stir, as you can imagine. The townsfolk gawked, some frightened, some thrilled, all of them whispering about the strange girl and her monster. Suddenly, little Mary Anning wasn't just selling seashells by the seashore. She was digging up monsters. Plesiosaurs with necks like serpents, pterosaurs with wings that stretched wider than a man is tall, and ammonites the size of wagon wheels. I found them all, each one a puzzle piece from a world long vanished beneath the waves. I spent my life knee-deep in mud and marl, chipping away at the history of the world, literally. My hands grew calloused, my back ached, but I never tired of the hunt, never lost that spark of curiosity. Scientists, collectors, even royalty, came knocking at my door. They travelled from far and wide, eager to see the wonders I'd unearthed from the cliffs of Lyme Regis. They wanted to see the fossil woman and her treasures, to marvel at the bones and shells that told stories older than any of us could imagine. But heaven forbid they acknowledge where those treasures came from. A girl with a hammer, a head full of questions, and a stubborn streak as strong as the tides. That was me. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Here's the kicker, see? History has a way of erasing the people it finds inconvenient, and in my case, it was as if I was never there at all. But let me set the record straight. Back then, a woman finding fossils? Scandalous! The very idea sent shivers down the spines of polite society. Women were supposed to embroider, not dig up monsters from the cliffs. Couldn't have a brain, could we? At least not one suited for science. They said our heads were too delicate for such things, as if curiosity was a man's birthright alone. Must have tripped over them on the way to the bakery. That's what they'd have you believe. As if my discoveries were just happy accidents, not the result of years of hard work and sharp eyes. So the gentlemen scientists, they took credit. They swooped in, notebooks in hand, eager to claim the glory for themselves. published my findings in their names. My words, my sketches, my fossils, signed away as if I were invisible, stuffed their museums full of my discoveries, the grand halls filled with bones I unearthed, but my name nowhere to be found. Me? I got a pittance and a pat on the head. Good girl, Mary. A few coins, a nod, and then back to the shadows. Run along now, there's a good lass. Don't trouble yourself with men's work. The world wasn't ready for a woman in science, not really. And the afterlife? Not much better. Turns out even in death, the Old Boys Club is alive and well. Stuck here listening to these pompous ghosts drone on about their brilliant discoveries. They never tire of their own voices, I'll give them that. Darwin, Owen, Cuvier, they all pop by. The great men of science floating through eternity, still patting each other on the back. Never mention me, of course. My name's a whisper if it's spoken at all. Too busy congratulating each other on figuring out evolution, toasting their own genius, while I watch from the sidelines. Well, let me tell you, gentlemen, it's a bit harder to ignore a 5-foot-long extinct reptile skull when it's staring you in the face. Just saying. Maybe one day the world will remember the woman behind the bones. Funny thing though, even ghosts can't outrun the truth forever. Down there in the land of the living, they're starting to remember. Books, documentaries, even a bloody film or two. About time, I say. The tide's turning, as they say in Lyme. Maybe one day they'll even put up a statue. Right there on the beach where I found my first ichthyosaur. And maybe, just maybe, they'll get it right this time. No more footnotes, no more whispers. Just Mary Anning, the girl who dug dinosaurs out of the dirt. Not bad for a ghost, eh?